Coming up this lunchtime, Chancellor Rishi Sunak is presenting his autumn budget and spending review to Parliament. A boycott of nightclubs is taking place in over 30 UK cities tonight after a rise in drink spiking. And new research suggests we rediscovered the joy of home dinner parties during the pandemic. This is the Lunchtime News from Radio News Hub with me, Edward Breslin. It's budget day and the Chancellor is delivering his statement in the House of Commons right now. Unusually, it's the second one of the year. You may remember there was one back in March, and it comes as the economy starts to recover from the effects of the coronavirus pandemic. Well, gone are the days where the contents of the budget were a closely guarded secret until the Chancellor's speech. In the last few days, we've actually been told quite a bit of what's in it. To talk us through some of the measures, I'm joined by our reporter, Olivia Mounter. So, Olivia, tell us some of the key points.
Well, from next April, the national living wage for those 23 and over will rise from £8.91 to £9.50 an hour. The government says that will mean those on the lowest pay who are working full-time will get more than £1,000 extra a year. There's also good news for public sector workers, with an announcement that a pay freeze imposed during the pandemic will be lifted. This paves the way for potential pay rises for millions of people like teachers, nurses and army personnel. Moving to health now, there'll be an extra £5.9 billion to tackle the backlog of people waiting for tests and scans. Health bodies have welcomed the cash, but warned it won't solve the problem of staff shortages. And for transport, there's money promised there too. England's city regions will receive £6.9 billion for train, tram, bus and cycle projects.
So that all sounds pretty positive. Will there be any bad news?
Well, yes, it's worth adding words of caution. Those are all things the government chose to tell us in advance, and they're likely to have picked the best bits. There'll almost certainly need to be some less positive announcements too. So by the time the Chancellor sits down, we should know more about the bad news.
Thanks, Olivia. Our reporter, Olivia Mounter there. Meanwhile, there's one key person missing from the House of Commons for today's budget. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer is not there and will not be responding to the budget as would be customary because he's tested positive for COVID-19. Now, across many parts of the UK, nightclubs are facing a boycott tonight to pressure venues to tackle the recent increase in reports of drink spiking. A student-led campaign called Girls' Night In has been launched in around 30 cities to encourage people not to visit bars and clubs and to stay in instead. We've been speaking to Sandy Parkinson-Smith, who's helped arrange the boycott in Leeds. She says as a student, she feels uncomfortable about going out at the moment.
I personally feel very violated of all of my safety rights, all of my own personal rights as a person going out. And I know that so many people across every single university or any club night that's going out and experiencing this also feels very violated. I think it's also really sad that it's come to this, and it's come to the fact that we have to enforce this sort of boycott just to try and make some clubs aware, because a lot of nightclubs weren't responding initially until we took away kind of their right to service, the fact that they weren't going to necessarily have a full club night.
A quick look at some of the other stories making the news this lunchtime now. Dozens of Insulate Britain protesters have been arrested after blocking a junction of the M25 and a major London road in a 16th day of demonstrations. Campaigners from the Extinction Rebellion splinter group disrupted the slip road at junction 1A of the UK's busiest motorway, as well as the A40 in West London, with many gluing themselves to the surface. The police officer who murdered Sarah Everard has lodged an appeal to reduce the length of his jail sentence. Wayne Couzens was handed a whole life tariff in September after kidnapping, raping and murdering the 33-year-old. Still to come, we'll discuss new research which suggests that Brits have rediscovered a love of home dinner parties, and find out which Coronation Street star is being made a dame today.
How much has COVID cost your business? 40,000? 50? More? Much more? If your business has lost £40,000 or more, COVID Claims may be able to help claim that money back. Imagine what you could do with that money. And it's no win, no fee. Even if you've had a claim refused by your insurance company or received a low offer, COVID Claims could still help. Text LOST to 60777. Text LOST to 60777 now. Regulated by the FCA.
A reminder of the top stories this lunchtime. The Chancellor is delivering his budget statement in the House of Commons. And many nightclubs are facing a boycott tonight following a rise in drink spiking. Now, a new report has found that many people in Britain have rediscovered the joy of hosting dinner parties at home over the last year. The research by supermarket Waitrose has revealed that even as restaurants have reopened, lots of us are still embracing staying at home. It also found that with travel restricted during the pandemic, we've been taking our taste buds abroad instead and enjoying food and drink from sunnier climes. To tell us more, here's Martin Lee, the executive chef at Waitrose.
So over the last year, people have been entertaining more at home. So we've been seeing an increase on people looking for some nostalgic favourites, in particular in desserts. So we've seen Angel Delight, Sticky Toffee Pudding, even the Knickerbocker Glory recipes on Waitrose.com have been going up 171% this year. So that little bit of nostalgia, that little bit of comfort of what people have been seeking. We've also seen a lovely increase in food from the Levant, that Eastern Mediterranean region, which is particularly suited for that meze sharing, entertaining occasion for customers, which has been particularly fantastic. We've also seen people come to us for that little bit of inspiration for about where they cook and where they eat. So people have been unable to travel by physical airways, so they've been traveling by aisle airways to get that inspiration to understand what culture, what cuisine they want to cook from. And we've been providing that inspiration over the last year. So if people want to read for themselves or find out more about the Waitrose food reports, they can go to waitrose.com/food report and have a read for yourself.
A quick look at some business news. Wetherspoons is bringing back 99p drinks despite rising costs across the UK's pub industry. The company say its pubs in England will sell 3 different alcoholic drinks for 99p each: a pint of Ruddle's Best, a bottle of Beck's and a measure of Bell's Whiskey with a mixer. Scotland and Wales will be the same, except Ruddle's Best will be £1.10 due to minimum unit price restrictions. Time to find out what's going on in the world of showbiz now. Here's Katie Lyons.
Thanks, Edward. Well, a prosecutor says criminal charges are possible in the fatal shooting of a cinematographer on a film set. Halna Hutchins was killed when Hollywood actor Alec Baldwin accidentally shot her while working on the Western movie Rust in New Mexico. Baldwin had apparently been told the gun did not contain live ammunition before he started rehearsing with the weapon. Now, actress Maureen Lipman will become the first Dame of Coronation Street as the Prince of Wales awards her the honour today. The 75-year-old actress is being made a Dame Commander for services to charity, entertainment and the arts in a career lasting more than 50 years. And Ryan Reynolds has described football as a soul-deadening, evil and gorgeous game after watching his Wrexham team play live for the first time. He co-owns the Welsh club with fellow actor Rob McElhenney. They both turned up to watch Wrexham's game away in Maidenhead but saw them get beat 3-2.
Time for a sports update now, and a group of former players are planning to sue the Rugby Football League for negligence over what they say was a failure to protect them from the risks of concussion during their careers. Bobby Golding, Paul Heighton and Jason Roach are part of a test group of 10 ex-professionals involved in the action against the governing body. Those 3 men have been diagnosed with early onset dementia and probable CTE. And Australian professional footballer Josh Cavallo has publicly said he is gay, adding he wants to show everyone is welcome in the game of football. He's the only known current male top-flight professional footballer in the world to come out. A quick look at the weather now. Rain for southern Scotland and northern England, but staying mostly dry elsewhere. Windy, but another very mild day for the time of year. This has been the Lunchtime News from Radio News Hub with me, Edward Breslin. There's more on all today's stories at radionewshub.com.